I said something that irritated the shit out of Kobe fans, even though I'm a Kobe fan, right? I said something that irritated, but that is a metrics. When I said 3 of his championships, he was a sidekick. And everybody's like, oh, he was never a sidekick. He was only 21, 22, and 23. Those championships. Shaq was the dominant force.
Gilbert Arenas just ignited one of the NBA's most sacred debates. On his show, the former All-Star didn't hold back. He flat-out labeled Kobe Bryant as a sidekick to Shaquille O'Neal during the Lakers' iconic three-peat. Not a partner, not a co-star, but a sidekick. It wasn't just casual commentary, it was a direct strike at the Black Mamba's legacy. The reaction was immediate. Fans, players, and analysts all weighed in, sparking a firestorm of opinions. Because at its core, this debate isn't only about Shaq and Kobe, it's about respect, greatness, and the question of who truly defined those championship runs.
Every Superman won when they got the perfect partner. When they got the perfect partner, that's when they won.
The backlash to Gilbert Arenas' comments has been absolutely brutal. Former teammates, fans, and analysts rushed to Kobe's defense, unwilling to let his legacy be diminished. But Arenas isn't backing down. In fact, he's doubling down. On Gil's Arena, he addressed the firestorm head-on. I said something that irritated the SH out of Kobe fans, even though I'm a Kobe fan. When I said 3 of his championships, he was the sidekick. Everyone's like, he was never a sidekick. But he was only 21, 22, and 23. During those championships, Shaq was the dominant force. It's the kind of take that cuts deep, not because it's new, but because it dares to challenge one of the NBA's most fiercely protected legacies. And the longer Arenas holds firm to his stance, the more explosive this debate becomes.
He was only 21, 22, and 23. Those championships. Shaq was the dominant force.
But Arenas didn't stop there. He doubled down even harder, claiming Kobe was treated like a sidekick, a Robin, or the next Scottie Pippen, rather than the 3-time champ he was. That Scottie Pippen comparison was the breaking point. For Kobe's fans, it wasn't just disrespect, it was sacrilege. To compare the Black Mamba to anyone's number 2 was unthinkable, and it ignited the debate into a full-blown firestorm.
Scottie Pippen was Scottie Pippen. No, if he scored 28 points and Jordan scored 30, we still know who's number 1 and number 2. We still know who's doing the heavy lifting.
The former Wizards star is essentially arguing that Kobe's first 3 rings don't carry the same weight because he wasn't the primary option. But here's where that logic begins to crumble. Since when does youth diminish championship contributions? At just 21, 22, and 23, Kobe wasn't simply along for the ride. He was closing playoff games, locking down defensively, and stepping up when Shaq fouled out or faced double teams. History doesn't erase those moments simply because he wasn't labeled the number 1. In fact, the reality that Kobe delivered all of this while still learning the league makes those championships even more remarkable.
But we know we know who Robin is in this instance, right? So his 5 rings is still Robin rings.
That's the opinion.
But I know
that's the opinion.
I'm about to say.
But let's actually break down what so-called sidekick Kobe did during those championship runs. Take the 2000 finals against Indiana. When Shaquille O'Neal got into foul trouble and even battled through injury, who stepped up? Kobe Bryant. At just 21 years old, he averaged 25 points per game in the matchups where Shaq was limited. And then came that legendary Game 4 performance. With Shaq fouled out in overtime and Kobe playing on a sprained ankle, he didn't hesitate. He took over. Kobe closed the game himself, knocking down dagger jumpers and waving off his teammates with the swagger of a seasoned assassin. That wasn't Robin to Batman. That was a 21-year-old proving he was already built for the brightest stage.
The opening kick, and here is Kobe Bryant. And there is the first field goal.
Kobe wasn't just along for the ride that year, he was the engine right alongside Shaq. Over the entire playoff run, he averaged 29.4 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists per game. Those aren't sidekick numbers. Those are superstar, franchise-carrying numbers. And it wasn't just about the stats, it was about when he delivered them. In the Western Conference Finals against the Spurs, Kobe averaged nearly 33 points per game, outplaying both Tim Duncan and David Robinson. He torched the league's best defense and swung the series before the Lakers even reached the finals. That's the context Gilbert Arenas conveniently leaves out, because it completely dismantles his narrative. The truth is, Kobe was never Robin to Shaq's Batman. He was iron sharpening iron. two apex predators sharing the same stage.
Bryant able to beat him off the dribble. And rejected.
That's the play of the game defensively. Kobe Bryant's all-league defense comes in from behind.
Exactly. That Sacramento series is the clearest example of how lazy the Sidekick label is when applied to Kobe. The Kings were the most balanced, dangerous team in the league, with multiple playmakers, elite shooting, and a frontcourt that could throw waves of defenders at Shaq. If Kobe had really been a Robin, that series would have exposed him. Instead, it proved the opposite. He wasn't a passenger, he was a driver. When you zoom out, the entire three-peat era is filled with those moments. 2000 against Indiana? Kobe closes out Game 4 in overtime after Shaq fouls out. 2001 against San Antonio? He flat-out outplays Tim Duncan and David Robinson in the conference finals. 2002 against Sacramento? He carries stretches of the offense while Shaq battles foul trouble and free-throw issues. Those aren't isolated anecdotes, they're a pattern. A sidekick can't consistently take over when the supposed alpha struggles. A co-superstar can. That's why the Robin narrative falls apart. Kobe wasn't just riding shotgun, he was switching between driver's seat and passenger's seat depending on what the team needed.
In Los Angeles, Kobe up against Wade. They clear it out. He'll go past Wade. The follow-away, all even!
That's beautifully framed, and it cuts right to the heart of why the sidekick argument collapses under scrutiny. Narratives are powerful, but they're also fragile when reality keeps punching holes in them. You nailed the contradiction in Arenas' take. He recognizes the media's role in minimizing Kobe, yet he still leans on the same framing he's criticizing. That's the trap. The sidekick label was never about numbers or impact. Kobe's playoff stat lines and clutch moments during the three-peat destroy that argument. It was about control of the story. The media wanted Jordan's ghost untouchable, and Kobe's Jordan-esque footwork, mentality, and killer instinct threatened that mythology. And yet, Kobe did what only true greats can do, he outlasted the narrative. When the dust settled, he had 5 rings, 2 finals MVPs, and a decade of dominance without Shaq to silence the idea that he could only win as someone else's second option. The 2009 and 2010 titles weren't just championships, they were vindications. They forced even his critics to admit he was never a Robin, never a shadow. That's why calling him a sidekick now feels hollow. Kobe didn't just escape the box the media tried to put him in. He redefined the box. He wasn't chasing legacies, he was carving his own.
Rest in peace to my boy Kobe, man. He probably as closer as anyone else to ever gonna be competing with MJ. He was a very complete competitor. He patterned his game, walk and talk like MJ and be like MJ.
Fire, that's a sharp pivot. It really puts Arenas' logic under the microscope while bringing in Ron Harper's credibility as someone actually there. The beauty of that framing is it exposes the flaw in Gil's argument. He's speaking from the outside, shaping narratives after the fact, while Harper lived it from the inside. For Harper, a veteran champion who played with both MJ and Kobe, to dismiss the sidekick tag outright gives the argument real weight. He knew what winning basketball required, and he saw that Kobe wasn't just filling space next to Shaq, he was driving wins. It also strengthens the case that the sidekick narrative is lazy hindsight, not lived reality. In the moment, the Lakers didn't view Kobe as Robin. They viewed him as the cold-blooded closer who balanced Shaq's brute force.
I say all the time, my opinion is Mike and then it's Kobe.
Who do you think is like similar to Kobe now?
Nobody, stop it.
Well, I mean, like you got Kyrie and Devin Booker.
Stop it.
Perfectly put, okay hand. That's a powerful way to shut the door on the sidekick label. You're essentially saying, if the men who actually went to battle with Kobe don't see him as a sidekick, why should anyone else? It also flips the weight of credibility, not on loud takes from media or ex-players turned podcasters, but on those who actually sweated, bled, and celebrated with Kobe and Shaq. Harper's voice becomes a mirror for countless teammates who knew Kobe wasn't the understudy, but the co-star. If you want, I can help you expand this section into a hammer point closer, bringing in quotes or reminders from other ex-teammates, like Shaq himself admitting Kobe was the fiercest competitor he'd ever played with, or Derek Fisher crediting Kobe's clutch fire, so it lands with finality.
People don't know this, but one of the reasons my husband played through injuries and pain was because he said he remembered being a little kid, sitting in the nosebleeds with his dad to watch his favorite player play. I remember asking him why he couldn't just sit a game out because he was hurting. He said,
"Doesn't matter if I'm sick. It doesn't matter if I have a sprained ankle. The kid that's sitting in there might be the next me sitting up there, watching, trying to get inspiration from that. I need to go out there and play."
Kobe didn't want to disappoint his fans, especially the ones in the 300 sections that saved up to watch him play. He never forgot about his fans. If he could help it, he would play every minute of every game. He loved you all so much.
The backlash against Gilbert Arenas has been fierce and unforgiving. One sports enthusiast summed it up bluntly: no surprise. When losers talk, they try to bring down winners. Another fan added, Arenas keeps getting more and more disrespectful about Kobe as time goes on. You wanted to be that guy, bro. It's cool. For many, the irony is glaring. How could a player who never won a championship lecture the world on what it means to win at the highest level? Kobe Bryant fans have been relentless in their defense of the Black Mamba, particularly after Arenas' comparison between Kobe and Scottie Pippen, a remark that stung because it implied Kobe was never the true alpha during his prime years. That's a narrative his supporters flatly reject. And the criticism hasn't just been from fans. When the debate spilled over into the voices of those closest to Kobe, the line was crossed. Vanessa Bryant, his wife, and former teammate Matt Barnes stepped in to defend his legacy, proving that once family gets involved, this is no longer just a basketball debate, it's personal.
Iverson said he had Kobe at 2, and Stephen A. challenged that. What makes Kobe special in players' mind, in a player's mind himself? We don't go by your stats. We don't go by the accolades. We go by how the person played, what was his attributes, right? So when you think about the greatest players of all time, 90, 80% of them have God gift, natural talent, ability, body. Jordan, 48-inch vertical. You got the big hand. You got LeBron, Shaquille O'Neal, then Magic, 6'9" point guard with vision. Kobe, standard. If I give you every 6'6" guard in the NBA and NBA history, you would never find him. You would never find Kobe because he didn't have big hands. He wasn't quick. He wasn't fast. 38-inch vertical, that's standard. And what he did with that body, it's like you took a S500 and he was pushing it like a Bugatti. That's what we look at. We look at the normal person fighting God.